Hello and welcome to Chess Goblin. Here we cover chess gambits, openings, and all things chess. In this video, we will be going over the Blackburne Shilling Gambit. It starts off with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. This opening is for black. And in this opening, white decides they're going to play an Italian game with bishop to c4. And black, instead of doing like a main line developing their bishop or their knight, we decide to play this unusual move, knight to d4, gambiting the pawn on e5. The best possible move in this position is for white to just trade knights, and the game will go on from here. It's pretty solid for both players. But that's not what we want in this position. We want white to capture the pawn on e5. And then we develop our queen, forking both the pawn and the knight. And there's two options for white to do in this position. They can either take the pawn on f7, checking the king, or they can take the pawn with their knight with the idea of forking the queen and trapping the rook in the corner. And in this case, they decide to take the pawn with their knight to try to fork the queen and the rook. But that is a blunder, because after we take this pawn, not only is their rook under attack, but their king is in big danger at this point. Say they decide to try to protect the rook because they feel like this rook in the corner is guaranteed at this point. We then capture this pawn, and the best move for white to do in this position is to gambit the queen, sacrificing their queen to save their king. The other option for them to do is to block it with a bishop, but this falls for the smothered mate with the knight because it's attacking the king and the bishop can't take it because the queen is pinning it to the king. So instead of moving the rook over here to try to protect their king, white decides to capture the rook in the corner. And after they capture the rook in the corner, we then recapture their rook. And in this position, they only have one option. They have to block with a bishop. Then we recapture the pawn here. And the best option again for white is to block with the queen, gambiting the queen. The other option is to block with the bishop. Now, if you don't want to remember a lot of lines, you can still go here for this nice tricky trap where the two options for white to do in this position, they can either try to move their king, which hangs mate in one, or they lose the queen again. But there is also a guaranteed mate after bishop to c5. And the best move for white to do in this position is to try to bring their knight back into battle on f7, but we don't worry about recapturing the knight. Instead, we check the king, and they can't take it because of the pin with the queen, so they have to move. And then we move our queen to h4. We're threatening mate here on f2. And say white captures the knight, they're hanging mate in one right there. So the only other way to protect this, the best way to protect this pawn is they try to bring their king forward, because if we take this pawn, they can survive one more move. They can either go back here and it's mate in one here, or they can go here and we have this nice mate with the bishop, checking the king. And they can only prolong it one more move after they capture. We just take back, not with the bishop, we capture with this pawn here, and mate is still in 4, and it's inevitable. Here is the Blackburne Shilling Gambit. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you can use it in one of your upcoming games. If you have any more traps you'd like to learn or new openings, just comment those down below. And if you have not done so, subscribe and like this video. It really helps. Hope to see you in the next one.